this episode of Janet Today, Janet Tomorrow, Janet Forever, the podcast where two cousins discuss all things Janet Jackson. Today we're going to talk about Janet Jackson's If. My name is Courtney, and I'm here with my cousin.
Cousin Kam.
Hey Kam, what's going on your way?
The heat is on.
The heat is on. I'm not complaining though. Actually, it was a little chilly here in Charlotte today, and I did not say boo about it. So we have a lot to talk about. You and I have both been counting down the hours, the minutes, the days to Janet Jackson's Essence performance.
Yay.
Even though we didn't attend.
The struggle was real.
But it was still exciting. So tell me what you thought.
I think Janet did great. I love the dancers. I love the outfits. And I'm just glad that she decided to do Essence just so that more people can experience what we've experienced seeing her on tour.
Yes.
At 52, she's still killing it.
Yes. She is putting on a show, and it's a little different than the State of the World. So, we saw her just a couple months ago, the State of the World, and it was a little different, at least based on the clips that I could put together on the internet. And I tried to watch every single one I saw on IG or Facebook or whatever. But just based on it, you could see that they added a little extra sauce.
Yeah.
The transitions were different. Some of the choreography was different, and it was a little more pop, and it was just good. And I really liked the opening. She opened with a previously unreleased track, Skin Game. Had you ever heard that before?
I hadn't, and honestly, I thought it was something that she just recently cooked up and put out there.
Yeah, because it sounds so fresh, like it sounded so good, but it's actually from Rhythm Nation 1814, so it was a track that didn't make the cut for that album, and it sounded like it could have just been made today. It would sound so good.
It definitely didn't sound dated or, something that was just dug up out of the crate.
Yeah, I think that's proof that she's always been ahead of her time.
Yeah.
And so that song, Skin Game, with its message too, being about racial discrimination, she couldn't be more relevant then and now.
You have to show ID just to swim in the pool right now. At your own complex.
Unfortunately.
That's about how bad it is.
Yeah. So she's timely yet again, and I think I really appreciate the thoughtfulness with which she crafts her shows. Because, she had to go to the archives for that one, but the time called for it, and it was perfectly appropriate. And honestly, it sounded so good live. Like, it's a good song. So if you Google it and just listen to it on YouTube, it's a very good song. But it sounded amazing live with the band. So I was excited about that, and I hope that that's a carryover so that we'll see that in the tour because, I gotta go again. So when she comes to Charlotte in August, I will be there. And I'm counting on Jesus that maybe I will get to meet her this time. So
asking you shall receive.
Listen, closed mouth don't get fed. So I'm trying to meet Janet Jackson. So another part of it was the tribute to Joe.
Yes.
She talked a little bit about in the middle of the show, ironically, so I thought it was the strength that one has to have to not only just perform the show, but also to speak so eloquently, about the passing of your father and your thought process, and she said that when she was just having a hard time moving forward. And so she was talking to her brother, like, what should I do? Do I cancel the festival? Do I cancel the rest of the tour? What do I do? And she said her brother said, well, what do you think Joseph would say? And she said she thought he would say, finish what you started.
Right.
So that's what she did. She's like, that's why I'm here, to finish what I started. So to be up there and to talk about it, and she talked about all the things her father did for her, her family, and, getting them out of Gary, Indiana, and helping them to build these legendary careers. She talked about those things. And I'm just like, wow, how are you able to articulate this? It reminded me of her appearance on BET right after Michael's passing.
That just shows you that the strength that the Jackson family has and the strength that Joseph Jackson himself had. He groomed them with great work ethic, and it's just their strength to just carry on and continue to do something that you love and remember your fans. So
yeah, I would agree. And her brothers as well were performing as well. I think in Europe, the Jacksons were putting on the show. So everybody, got back to what they were doing. And I hope that we know they love their fans and we know Janet loves her fans. And I think that she gets some comfort from being with her audience and performing for her audience and just having that experience and getting that energy. So I hope that she was able to get some comfort even just for a couple of hours while she dazzled and razzled and entertained us during that show. So it was terrific.
Oh
The clips that
yeah.
I saw were terrific.
And there was a lot of clips.
Yeah.
I mean, like there was a lot of clips, a lot of footage. My Facebook timeline was just like soup, 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 and I
Yes.
was like, "Give me more."
Jam Fam came through,
Oh
okay?
yes, she killed it. Like I'm always rooting, and I was kind of nervous because Essence is a different crowd, a mixture of crowd. It's young, old, different cultures and stuff. But the fact that she brought the house down just made me feel so proud to be a Janet fan.
Absolutely. And I think I was sharing with you that I was a little nervous because 10:45 on a Sunday night at Essence Festival. And like you said, it's the crowd that maybe isn't necessarily exclusive Janet fans.
Mhm.
They're just at the festival and you want to take in all the experiences. But I was like, 10:45 on a Sunday isn't a just take in the experience. Like she packed the house and you don't stay that late if you don't care. And I'm like, I think all of those people were really there to cheer and support and just enjoy Janet Jackson. And it just warmed my heart. I was so excited when a couple of folks who were recording kind of panned the audience. And I'm like, yes, it's full. And now my heart is full.
I am at peace. And there were so many videos out there, but there was one that was before the performance had me cracking up because I was like, I can relate.
Are you talking about the one, think it's the comedian David A. Arnold?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes,
his
yes.
his reenactment was like, I feel you. I feel you. I understand my brother.
Yeah, so apparently he was on a flight to New Orleans. He and Sherry Shepherd were sitting in first class, and he says that Janet Jackson was right next to him, like across the aisle, Janet and her son. And he was totally fanboy, but he was trying to keep it together on the outside. But he was fanboying on the inside. And I was like, yeah, bro, I get it. I totally do get it. I thought it was interesting, too, that Janet and Issa were basically on a commercial flight because, we usually see her on private jet. So I decided in my mind, I was like, oh, she went all out. She wanted the full Essence experience. Because, on Girls Trip, the Essence experience starts on the plane.
Yeah.
You got to get the full experience.
But the part that cracked me up was when he said, I was trying not to look at her booty, but I looked at her booty.
Yes, yes. I was like, you don't have to tell that,
I
but
was like, dude.
listen, how you not gonna stare at Janet Jackson, even if you're trying to give yourself a pep talk? Like, how you not gonna do it?
But honestly, if that was me though, I would have probably been staring so hard with my mouth open. She'd probably be like, "Can y'all move this crazy chick? She is scaring me." Cause I'd just be like,
They would have had to install a curtain around you.
Yeah. And then finally, when we get off the plane, I'll be like, "Please listen to my demo."
No, no, no. You're not gonna boys to men her.
Yeah. Please listen to my demo.
Yes, yes. So yeah, that would have been me as well. I've had some jobs where I've had to work with different celebrities or whatever, and I've held it together every time. Like I've never, you know, lost my marbles or anything, but I really do because I believe in speaking things into existence, and I will meet Janet Jackson. I've already started giving myself the pep talk, like, how to stay calm, how to stay, because I think if anybody could get me to like forget my name, because I don't think I would be the person who would be like screaming or yelling. I would just be the person who said nothing and then have so much to say after she's gone. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to like prep my speech and my demeanor, for the day when God blesses me.
and I'm gonna agree with you and prep my demo. So when she said, "Hey, Kim," I can hit play and just start doing my moves.
Please don't do that with me. If we're together,
Yes,
you cannot do that.
I'll be
First
like,
of all, I didn't know you had a demo, but second of all, whatever you demoing, let me go to the car.
I'll be ready, boy. She probably be like, yeah, that's nice. Nah.
Yeah, like whatever this is, please no. I'm gonna need the stuff away.
To the left, to the left. That's right, cuz. Go over there for a second. You ready for
Yeah.
this?
Yes, because I don't even know what it is. Okay, okay. So we talked about Essence Festival. There was another little thing that caught my attention this week in the news. All over social media, especially in some of the Jan Fam fan pages and chat groups. There was a lot of conversation about one Miss Sissy Houston.
Oh yeah, because there is a movie that's coming that's supposed to reveal the real Whitney Houston,
Mm-hmm.
and we're supposed to just see rare footage of what Whitney was really like. Again, I would just want to say that, but Sissy Houston has some words. Yeah,
Sissy Houston was wild.
yes, not Quincy Jones wild, but she was wild. She just
I think she could have been just given more time.
tell us how you really feel.
Yes. Yeah. So the movie is coming out, or it may have already. I think it actually came out this past weekend, and I do
Yeah,
want to see it because I saw the one. There's a Showtime documentary,
right.
with Whitney Houston now, and it's really good. So I was looking forward to seeing this one, but some of the clips have already leaked, and some of it has been captured on YouTube. And when I say "Sissy Wow," so the exact quote is from Sissy Houston. To set the scene, it looked like Whitney Houston was feeling a little down about herself, and Sissy was trying to build her up. But unfortunately, she was putting a whole lot of people down in the process. But she said, "Never mind all that other shit. Janet Jackson shit. Let that bitch have it. You got class. You can sing. You don't need all that."
Oh, she went through. She had Paula.
Yeah, she had Paula too. Yeah, I mean, she went through, and so I was a little surprised. Not necessarily at the sentiment, but I was surprised about the language. It sounded like
It was
hateful.
ugly. It
Yeah,
was
it was
nasty.
ugly.
Dropping all them S bombs.
Yeah. This is when you know it's bad. I was like, I'm really not comfortable reading this Sissy Houston quote. Like, you shouldn't be uncomfortable reading the church lady's quote.
Right. This is what I didn't like about it. I didn't like the fact she was putting somebody else down just to lift her daughter up. This happened around 91 where Whitney Houston was accused of not being black enough. And that's hard
Yeah.
because we shouldn't question whether or not Whitney Houston was black enough.
There's no way to be black.
Right. You just black or you're not. But those kind of words are kind of cruel. Because trust me, Janet ain't no bitch.
Absolutely. And you mentioned this is 91, so like we have to rewind our minds to like 91 Janet. So that was like Rhythm Nation Janet.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure, we might have been up to Love Would Never Do by then, but for the most part, like she was cussing out like the Knowledge Janet and State of the World Janet. Like, ma'am.
Well, do you think it had something to do with Bobby? Because, the whole rumor is that Bobby and Janet possibly had something going on.
Well, I remember hearing that, and even Bobby Brown recently tried to say, like, yeah, that was true. But the reason I don't believe that was true is two reasons.
Okay.
You know, I believe Janet Jackson has everybody signed a non disclosure. So the fact that he didn't know about the non disclosure tells me
Oh, Lord.
they probably didn't do nothing because he would have had to sign a piece of paper if they did.
Right.
And then the other reason is I remember reading, because I'm gonna take you way back. I have a Fresh magazine. I
Uh-huh.
still have it,
Yeah.
and it's Bobby and Janet were having a birthday party together, and the story behind that article was basically like the record companies were trying to revamp both of their images. So they were trying to get Janet a little edge,
Uh-huh.
and they were trying to soften Bobby Brown. And so they
Oh.
thought creating them as a couple could do that. Like
Oh.
good girl meets bad boy and they kind of meet in the middle.
Oh.
So it was kind of like a production really to kind of get people to buy into it. So I can't say for sure there was no truth to it, but I do know that it was a product of the record labels trying to maneuver it so that each of them could kind of benefit from the other's reputation.
But wasn't Renee floating around too?
Oh yeah, he was there. So that's the other reason why I don't think that that was ever a thing. Because yeah, he was already in the picture. But yeah, so we don't know. We really don't
Mm-mm.
know, but I don't think so. So I don't think there was any friction there. And in the video, you see Whitney is kind of like, "Ooh, mama, you ain't had to go in like that on Janet." Like she didn't say anything, but her body language said, "Whoa." Yeah, like her body language was like, "We don't really got to do that."
Nah,
So
I didn't know you gonna do it like that.
now there is another interesting connection between Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson. The song "How Will I Know"
Uh-huh.
was actually commissioned for Janet Jackson. And when it was written for her and turned over to her and her management team, they passed on it.
Thank God.
I know. Can you imagine? It doesn't belong with her. It's a Whitney Houston
No.
song.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
Whitney song.
but
I
she passed, and the folks who wrote the song, they were devastated. Like, we really thought that this was perfect for her.
mm-mm.
But honestly, I think it landed where it should have landed.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's another little connection.
Let me just say this. How many more Whitney Houston documentaries and movies is there gonna be? I remember there was the awful, well, it wasn't awful. It just wasn't good. Whitney Houston movie. I think it was on Lifetime or one of those
hmm
cables. Then there was the Bobby Christina movie.
Oh, I forgot about that. I didn't see either of them.
And then I've also seen the documentary that was on Showtime.
I think both of those were in the works at the same time, like the Showtime one and this one that's going to the movie theater.
Okay.
Um, and I imagine they're probably very similar because I mean it's probably the same footage and it's only it's one life. So I don't know how many ways you're gonna tell the story of this one life.
I might wait till it hit Redbox. I don't know. I'm kind of Whitney Houston out. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. Like you, I don't know if I need to rush to the theater to see it. I do intend to see it. I just don't know when.
yeah.
All right, so let's get into this week's song.
If I was your girl.
This week's song is "If"
Yes.
from the Janet album. It was released July 13th, 1993. It was the second single from the album.
The record label actually wanted this to be the first song released off the Janet CD.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I'm going to be honest, this single is why I bought the Janet CD. I mean, That's the Way Love Goes was, now that I think about it, it was the perfect song to start promoting the CD and everything. But when I heard this track, I was in love. It was just different. It was hip hop, and then you had that sample from Someday We'll Be Together.
Mm-hmm.
And right before the song comes on, it's like, be a good boy and put this on. Man, I love this track. And to me, also, one thing I love about this song is the fact that it kind of, it's kind of sad, but this is actually what my love life is about. I
Yep.
see somebody and they taken, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, if I was your girl. But I love this track.
I'm sure you're not the only one. I never picked up on the part about them being taken. So I just thought that for whatever reason they couldn't be together, but I didn't realize that, like, oh, she's respecting boundaries. He's in a relationship and she's choosing to respect that relationship. I was like, I got you, girl. I see what you're doing.
It was kind of like OPP, but you just didn't go through with it.
Right, exactly, yeah. So the lyrics of this song basically describe a fantasy of her wanting someone, imagining all the things she would do if they were together. And I thought that was just a really clever play. Now, of course, I was young when I heard the song. How would I have been? Probably 13, maybe? uh, and so there were some nuances that I missed. But, I thought it was a really when I first heard this song, I just thought sonically it was amazing. Like it didn't sound like anything I'd heard before. The sounds were just different and it was so full. Like I don't know how to describe it other than like a rock or a hip hop orchestra. Like it was
Right.
the sound was immersive. It surrounded you, it consumed you. And I just had never heard anything like it. And I was addicted immediately.
Till this day, when she performs this song and you hear that dun 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 dun, dun you
Dun,
already
dun,
know
dun, dun,
what's
dun. Yes,
you
yes.
already know what song she
Your
finna
arms and
perform.
legs start moving in opposite directions. Yes, yes. The other thing too about this song was Janet did all of the vocals. So it's like if you look at the liner notes, no one else is listed. And so you hear all those different voices and you hear all those different layers and it's all her.
I mean, Janet's a talented artist.
Yes.
One thing that stands out to me about it is the lyrics. They're direct, but they're not vulgar with it. She's being her shy personality, but at the same time, she's whispering in your ear, "Hey, I need
Mhm.
you to step aside from this chick, cause I really want you."
Yeah, like when I think about it, I was like, it's super sexy. Like this song wouldn't happen today. Like it's super sexy. We didn't talk about popping any peas. Nobody mentioned nobody
Yeah.
mentioned any penises or like it no there was no cum. We didn't hear that. Like but it was super sexy. Like one of my favorite lines from the song, "You're smooth and shiny, feel so good against my lips." You're like, "You're smooth and shiny what?" Like, it's like, she painted the picture where you could almost see it, but she didn't, it just wasn't crass, but you knew what was going on.
Right.
And I think about like a lot of '70s songs. Like this song was like Janet's Love Come Down, right? You sang that song, you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and then sometime around high school or college, you're like, oh, that's what that song was about.
That's what's missing from music today, anyway. It's like music now is straightforward. I want to get you in the bed. I want to show you how I can do this to you. Bye, 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 bang, bang, bang. And it's like, it's no build up. Like, talk sexy
And you don't
to
have to
me.
think, like, you don't have to do any of the work. Like, it's just so plain and crass and boring. It's not creative.
Yeah, the lyrics, like you were saying, your favorite part. My favorite part is the lyrics where she say, "How many nights I laid in bed excited over you. I closed my eyes and thought of us 100 different ways. I've gotten there so many times. I wonder how about you."
I mean, that's genius, okay? And that was like the most explicit it is in this song. And this, like, when you think of this song, you think of this song like this song is rated X.
Yes.
But it's not if you just like look at the actual words. Like you're filling in all the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. And a couple things when I think about how this song was written, I've actually heard two things. One of them is that she wrote it in the conference room at Virgin Records, like during a meeting.
Wow.
Now I read that online, so I don't know how true that is because I
Mhm.
couldn't find the source.
Okay.
The other part, and I've actually heard Jimmy Jam say this, is when they put together the track, Jimmy likes to build a track and he has a theme. So this song, he wanted to use some more Motown samples. So that's how they got Someday We'll Be Together.
Okay.
So he built the track and he presented it to her and she liked it. And so she was going to write something to it. And she was like, well, like, how do you think it should sound or how should it go? And he said, in my mind, I was hearing like a chant, like, a Buddhist chant or something. And he said when he said that to her, like he was kind of thinking a little bit like that's kind of a crazy request. But he's like he just let her go with it. And he's like the next day she had the whole song to this chant that she made up in her mind. Like and so that's how that came about.
Oh my God.
That's how he tells it.
But you know what? I'm gonna be honest. When this song comes on, there is like when it first come on, I'm just like, okay, here come my part. Okay, here go my part. If I was your peace.
Yes, so that's where that comes from. And it is really ingenuitive. Like,
Mhm.
if you would have said that to me, you would have got nothing.
We would just be staring at each other.
Right. Yeah, so I thought that was great.
And what's so cool about this Janet CD was that she was actually showing more of her sensual side, her love side, whereas with Rhythm Nation, it was such a conscious record. Sort of similar to how Marvin Gaye was going on, then he went to Let's Get It On.
Yes.
And I think that just shows how, artists, true artists, are able to create and reflect of what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, I think that's even an observation that a comparison that Jimmy Jam makes between Janet and Marvin Gaye. You know, people were shocked, appalled, and just floored that she made such an abrupt transition from the Rhythm Nation era to the Janet Love album, as we're calling it. But really, there was a precedent there already. And also, too, it was just where she was in life, and she wanted her art to reflect that.
Because you can't be, I think we as humans, we all have different sides, and we just can't be one way all the time. I mean, you're going to go through love, you're going to go through heartbreak, you're going to go through troubles, and you wouldn't be a true artist if you hid that from your fans. And that's one thing Janet does do. She shares that with her fans to let them know, hey, you going through this, I've been there before. This is how I've learned to deal with it.
And that's one of the things, too, that I think is very uniquely Janet Jackson. She is always willing to present herself as a new creature. And, later in her career, she started giving herself new names as she was doing different projects. We got to meet Strawberry and Demita Joe and, all of these others that live inside of her, and which is something that you don't necessarily get from other artists. You get artists who go in the studio, and if it worked last time, they just go make some more of that. Next time come around, they just make some more of that. But Janet really went in and really reflected on her life. Yeah, and that's one of the things I say that makes her a true standout amongst the crowd. And one of my favorite quotes of hers comes from a Rolling Stone article. It's actually called Janet Jackson, The Joy of Sex. And it was written by David Ritz, right? The title alone. But it's written by David Ritz. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it just talks about her as an artist. She's talking about kids and how she just believes so much in the intelligence of kids. And she says, that's the intelligence that I look for in myself. I don't always find it, but I know it's there. I'm talking about responding to the world emotionally directly. Art that comes from the heart, not the head. And she went on to say, the thing that excites me isn't becoming a bigger star, but a better artist, deeper, truer to the things I find exciting. So if right now I find sex exciting, if I'm looking at the physical love in a beautiful light, I put that in my art. If next year I'm depressed or confused or angry, I hope to have the courage to express those feelings. I hope to be an honest artist, no more, no less.
We both know that the next project after that was the Velvet Rope, and she took
Yeah.
us there.
She had the courage to do it. She called it. She was like corner pocket.
Yeah. Where my money?
She called it.
So let's talk about the video for a second.
Yes.
The video at the time was very unique because it takes place in this Asian nightclub. And you see all this touchscreen technology, webcams, and things like that. And you see these guys coming out of the ceiling. There was no other video that was using that imagery.
There was nothing like it. So the video was directed by Dominic Sena and choreographed by Tina Landon and Janet. And then two of my favorite male dancers of hers was Omar Lopez and Keith Williams. Both basically because they were both very beautiful.
She just wants y'all to know. Just want you to know I think you're beautiful.
In case you're listening, they were both very beautiful. Yeah, so what I remember about that video is them coming down Cirque du Soleil style from the ceiling. And Janet bursting through that door, with those red flowing fabric, and she walks down the center into this room where she's about to perform. So that's the thing that I remember so much. So in this video too, I don't want to say it was, well, here's what I will say. when I first heard the song, so this I had the album, and so I had heard the song
Mhm.
before the
Mhm.
video. So in my mind, what I thought the video would be and what I saw was completely different. Like there was no possible way you would ever come up with this video. I would have never expected to see what we saw. I remember being floored the very first
Really?
time I saw this video because the dancing was amazing. At the time, I don't even really think I got all of the like touch screen and the fact that this was you know somebody in there was a madam, and like I don't think I got all of that at the time when I was watching, because I remember being on my knees on the floor in the den in front of the TV with my parents, and I know if I truly got it I would have been very embarrassed. So,
Well, cuz I caught all of it because I caught the crotch grabbing, I caught that slapping that head and shaking it.
I caught that. I caught, and the faces being perfectly positioned, and I caught that, but I didn't necessarily know like what was going on in this
Oh,
place with the happy endings. Like I didn't know what was happening. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, like she really pushed the envelope, but it wasn't so much so like you couldn't watch with your family. Maybe you didn't want to, but it
right.
wasn't so much that, like everybody was covered. Everything was fully,
Yeah.
uh, but it was definitely wild. It was definitely cutting edge. And it was different in a cutting edge way. Like, you might think of someone like Madonna or even Grace
Oh
Jones. I
yeah.
think, didn't Grace Jones have the first naked video?
Yeah,
Uh,
she
yeah,
did.
yeah.
And I didn't see it no more.
um, but yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, she really. I hate the word classy because I don't even like that word, but she really did.
Tasteful.
Yes, it was
It
very
was tasteful.
tastefully done.
Every time I see this video, I always think about Bill Bellamy MTV Jams
Mm-hmm.
because Bill Bellamy, they did like this special on it
Uh
with
huh.
Janet, and they were like on the set, and all I can remember is Janet rubbing Bill Bellamy's nipples, nipples. And Bill, if you watch MTV Jams back in the day, he already had like a bright smile,
I love Bill Bellamy. Yes.
but that smile was so bright.
Oh yes, he had all he could handle that day, and I remember too. All of his interviews with Janet Jackson were always so much fun.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I'm here with Janet." I'm
Yes.
like, "Bill, you are in heaven. That's where
He
you
was
are."
surrounded by the dancers. They was rubbing on him and dancing on him. Yeah, yeah. That's worth
Yeah.
taking a look on the YouTubes for. It was very it was fun, really. Like I said, he was one of my favorite VJs. Actually, at that time, MTV had great music journalists, if we're being honest. Like I
You're
liked
right.
John Norris, I like Kurt Loder. They were good.
I learned so much about music from John Norris. It's a shame.
Yes, they were good. They were good. Another thing about the video, we talk about how it is taking place in this, like, I don't want to say Asian restaurant. I'm not sure what it was. But one of the things, too, that I liked that Janet did, at least in this video, is she was able to appreciate the culture without appropriating the culture, right? Like, she was in the Asian world, but she was just herself. And I feel
Right.
like a lot of times, anytime someone wants to do something like this, they maybe don't get it right
Right.
where they're exploiting the culture. And so obviously I can't comment too much because it's not my culture, so I can't say where the line is,
True.
but I definitely have seen things that went awry.
Yeah.
And I thought that this was just so tastefully done, and it introduced us to a location, to an experience that many folks would not have had any purview into if it not have been for this video. So I still love this video.
Yes. To this day, I debate if this is my most all-time great favorite Janet Jackson song. It's between this and Miss You Much. And there are some days where I can listen to If 3 or 4 times in a row and never get tired of it.
Really?
Really, I really do love this song. I can even close my eyes and just tell you exactly how the video went.
So a lot of people felt like you. They loved this song, although I was surprised to recall that it was not a number one. So when I think about, like, she's had so many number ones, I just assumed this was one of them. But it actually made it to number 4 on the Billboard charts and number 3 on the R&B charts, although it did hit number 1 on the dance club songs.
We'll take that number 1.
Yeah, so I was just surprised about that.
And did you try to learn any of these dance steps?
Oh yeah, for sure. I probably still got a bruise on my knee from trying to do all that stuff on the carpet. Not a good idea.
I want to see that. I just wish I had a videotape of you doing that.
Hey, listen, when you used to come up, if there would have been a videotape in that house, oh my gosh, somebody could definitely blackmail us.
Oh yeah.
Dancing. I remember we tried to learn, I think it was Heavy D and the Boys.
We got our own. Oh, I still can rock that though. Everybody shake your body. And let's talk about the performance of If on the MTV Music Awards, one of the signature performances of all times by Janet, and also on that award show.
Yeah, I still think this might be my favorite. And it's so hard to pick a favorite Janet Jackson live performance, but this might be it. I mean, the way they did that medley with That's the Way Love Goes and then moved into If, and If was kind of like slowed down. It was amazing. And I still think maybe there have been some other VMA performances that were better, but if it was probably a Janet performance, because I just can't think of anything that would have topped that.
It's up there. Of course, Mike performance when he performed all his greatest hits. That was a great performance.
You know what? I don't even remember that performance you're talking about.
You don't remember when he came out with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Lisa Marie's in the stands and
I don't.
Oh,
but you see where my brain is. Like, it was Janet.
I'ma pop you upside the head when I see you.
Please don't.
I might have to. With him performing Dangerous.
Oh, was that when he had the red glove?
Yes.
Oh, that was good.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
And then he did the backhand bounce towards the end.
I loved it. Now that you have firmly implanted it in my brain and I have saved myself from being popped upside the head.
Barely.
So let's talk a little bit about the awards.
If actually won a BMI Pop Award for the most played song for 1993.
Like, I wouldn't have guessed that it was the most played song for 93, but yeah, it makes sense. I feel like this song came on 42 times a day.
And I was so happy. And then also Soul Train Music Awards in 1994, Video of the Year.
It also got the Playboy Magazine Entertainment Awards, which I didn't know was a thing.
Me either.
So for the MTV Music Awards for 1994, she won Best Female Video. But for the other 2 categories she was nominated in, which was Best Dance Video and then also Best Choreography, she did not win. So I had to get online and look it up. Like, why didn't she win? What's up with that?
She was up against Salt and Pepper featuring En Vogue with What a Man, Hammer, Pumps and a Bump, US3, Cantaloupe.
Yes, Flip Fantasia.
I don't even remember no dancing.
I don't either. I just remember the shadow of a person playing the trumpet. But Salt and Pepper won for What a Man. I, as you know, love Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
And I had to get online and watch that video because I couldn't remember any spectacular dancing in this video.
I think at the end of the video, isn't there just a little bit of choreography?
Very basic.
I think I remember more of Hammer, Pump and a Bump choreography than I do What a Man.
Again, I want to say I love Cheryl and Sandy.
Now you calling them by the government name. Not the government name.
But when I found out they won ahead of her in both categories for Best Dance Video and Best Choreography, I may have even given you Best Dance Video because it was fun, but I can't give you Best Choreography. Like, they took that from Tina. And I just want to say that what they really should do is they need to get those awards from wherever they are, buff them and box them, and send them to Janet, because those are her awards. Those are her awards. All right. So that was fun. Look back at If, apparently your favorite song that you don't know the words to.
Still my jam.
Yeah,
I'm finna
listen,
listen to it in a few minutes.
right, and just totally ignore all the words at the beginning.
Yep.
That Janet album for me, with all of its diversity, is still one of my favorite Janet albums.
It's my favorite, I think. Ask me tomorrow.
Right. See if you could stick with the same answer for 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. That was fun.
All right.
Now let's play a little game, I guess.
We're finna play Has She Ever?
All right, so in this segment, you and I are going to take turns asking each other questions, and we're going to try to figure out, has Janet ever done the thing? Okay, my question is, has Janet ever played spades?
No.
No, you don't think so?
Mm-mm.
I want to say yes. Let me tell you why. I think she has played spades. I know her mom's a card player. Now, I don't know what kind of cards she plays. She probably play, that era of cards was like bridge, euchre, bid whist. So it may be of that variety. But the reason I say yes is because tour bus.
Right.
When you're rolling on the bus, you probably do play all sorts of things. Now, spades for me is one of those card games where, like, especially if you're black, you get frowned upon for not knowing how to play spades. But then nobody ever really wants to teach you to play spades.
Oh. And then they get mad at you when you miss
Right. Yeah. So I'm really actually a very bad spades player. And I always say no when people ask me to play spades. Like, yes, I get the concept. Yes, I know what we're doing. But I don't like tension. Spades in the black community is a full contact sport. So I usually say no. But if we're getting back to Janet, I think she has.
So, has Janet ever lied to a telemarketer who's called?
That's a good one. I gotta say, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever lied to a telemarketer.
Really?
Because I'm like, this is just your job. You're just trying to do what you're trying to do. I'm very direct. Ma'am, I don't have time. I'm at the grocery store. I'm trying to concentrate. I'm gonna say yes. What do you think?
I think so. She would probably be like, Janet not here.
Why does she have to do a bad accent though?
Because sometimes you gotta let them think they got the wrong number. What's yours?
Has Janet ever been in a fight?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I can see Janet putting them hands, throw them bows. Man,
Really?
yeah. You grow with that many brothers? Come on now. You can't tell me she ain't had Ren in the head like a time or two.
I remember reading like something her father said. He basically was like, she was pretty rough. Like she was trying to fight everybody.
She had no choice, man. Come on.
It's funny because I would not think that. Like who she is that we see, like I would not think that. But you're right. Like you're not the baby of that many brothers and you ain't rough and tumble.
Right. I mean, I got just cousins, and I tell you right now, I done had to backhand a couple of people myself. Like my backhand game is strong. It just hits you. Just be like, God dang it. Like, wow.
Oh my goodness.